Yeah.
Hello,
Hi.
this is Drake, or Censored Sloth, as you know me as,
Yeah, he's a little biatch.
and I am accompanied here by...
Hi, I am this man's creator on YouTube.
His name is Ben Rinartz.
Yeah.
He's being
A little.
modest.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to do a hot take video.
Oh my god.
Hot takes. Here we go.
Hot cakes?
Hot takes.
Fuck.
T-A-K. I know. Unfortunately,
Wait, can
we
I
don't
swear
have
on
cakes.
this?
I'll probably censor it out if you say a word
Oh
too
my gosh.
aggressive.
I
mean, you can do what you want, but
I'll watch my C's and N's.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Everything else should be okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Today we're gonna talk about Universal.
Oh my gosh, my
We
favorite
have
company.
exactly, and that's why we're talking about it.
Oh my
Because me and Ben have a particular love for Universal, and we're gonna try and convince you why they have been the best in consistency when it comes to movies throughout the history of time, essentially, even beating out the Mongol that is Disney. So, let's start off with the fact that one, Universal has been around way longer.
Oh yeah.
They have they started in like the 1800s,
Late
right?
1800s.
Late 1800s by what's his name?
Carl Lemley.
Carl Limley. He started off. He was a Jewish refugee, correct?
Yeah.
Way before the Holocaust, but as history shows, the reason why it led up to the Holocaust is because Jews were kind of already seen as a bad thing in Europe. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about what he did when he came to America,
Yes.
which is Universal Studios. I'm not entirely sure about the films that they made before 1931. Do you know anything?
They not really. A lot of silent films, obviously.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
every film
exactly.
before that
Yeah,
was silent.
exactly.
But they had big name actors. They
Lon Chaney Sr.
Lon Chaney
was a
Sr..
big one.
I'm
I'm not really familiar with a
I
lot
don't know
of
any.
the. I was about to say, I don't think we're really familiar with the silent film actors. I know Charlie Chaplin was a big one. He probably worked with them. If I'm gonna edit a video where there is a Universal Charlie Chaplin video, we'll put it up there. Anyways, I think since the fact that they've been around for so long, they have definitely carved out what we call pop culture nowadays.
100%.
Easily starting off with what made Universal as big as it was, which was the Universal Monsters, which if you've kept up with our content, you know that we have a deep passion for.
Yeah. Ranging from 1925 to 1956, starting with Phantom of the Opera, leading all the way up to Revenge of the Creature. Now, people won't consider Phantom of the Opera as a Universal monster, or at least the version I'm classifying as.
With Senior.
But it is the definitive form of Phantom of the Opera. And, Lon Chaney Sr., his performance in it is flawless.
Is it under Universal?
Yes.
It is?
Well,
because
anymore,
the set is on there.
Yeah.
On
It's
their lot.
no longer Universal because it's public domain now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But yeah, that just goes to show the kind of influence they have. There has been Phantom of the Opera remakes all the way up to 2004. Was it good? Absolutely not. Was it Universal? I don't know. I have to check. But it just goes to show the stint that they solidified in recent time. I think we've proven their pop culture icon. I mean, there's so much more that they've done. They have like DreamWorks under their name, and Illumination, which did like Despicable Me and Shrek and all those things.
In their own rights, they have animation aspects that are better than Disney.
Definitely.
But at the same time, they are also not the best. But they have their own pluses. Of
the Pixar versus DreamWorks conversation is probably due for another time.
Yeah, 100%.
We have views on that, but as for pop culture, they've definitely solidified it. I mean, I was out recently, and there's Minion meme merchandise still going around which is a recent thing, but that is a universal thing that is still relevant in pop culture. Now, I think one of the things that me and Ben really want to push in this argument is quality in films.
Yeah. Quality these days is kind of lacking.
And Universal or just in films in general?
Films in general. I mean, even if you look at like Marvel movies, Star Wars movies, they're all just cash grabs, you know?
Yes, I 100% see that. A lot of films nowadays are more for what's going to get the box office numbers and what's going to do this and that, more than what's a good artistic statement or a good artistic movie. These are more for the money, which obviously whenever you're doing something like this and you're trying to keep a big budget company around, obviously you do have to think about what will gain traction and money, but this day and age, that's all they seem to be thinking about.
Yeah, you're definitely seeing a resurgence in more indie films popping up, but it's happening years down the line after they've been released.
Yeah. I will say, I feel like this stint in films that we see in like being cash grabs mostly started somewhere in probably the early 2000s personally.
That's when sequels really started.
Yeah,
to
sequels
take off.
and remakes. This was a conversation I had with Ben earlier. I was going to make a video specifically on this topic. I'm not going to anymore though. It's remakes of early horror films in the early 2000s.
Oh my gosh, we've watched one, we've reviewed one.
The one we're just referring to is a sequel remake per se.
It's a sequel to a remake.
Yeah, which is House on Haunted Hill. We watched the original 1950 something film.
Flawless film, one of the greatest.
It is amazing.
Vincent Price is phenomenal.
Honestly, I wish me and Ben have been talking, which we probably have done it by the time this video is released.
Yes.
A live
movie
review. Hopefully that becomes a regular by the time this happens.
Yeah. 100%.
That movie would have been perfect to start it off with.
It would have. Actually, right over here by the TV, I still have my notes from when we were watching that movie. We wanted to test out something when we watched House on Haunted Hill, where we wrote down stuff we liked, and it ended up like we started writing down like clues and stuff because we got so into the movie that we were trying to figure out what was going on.
Oh yeah,
and honestly, it has better twists than most movies nowadays.
100%. I think it might have something to do with the fact that maybe some of these twists, I don't know, I would have to do the research, but maybe they were like the pioneers of some of these things. I do remember the film. I do remember that the ending had a little bit more to be desired. It kind of just was very abrupt.
Yeah. 100%.
But overall, 100% better than its very modern, I guess you would say, is it predecessor? Coming in successor? It'd be successor. The successor of the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It was garbage, and you can just tell that the reason why they made it is because new special effects were being introduced. CGI blood.
Yeah.
And it's just a cash grab. That's all it was.
I mean, it had a few fun aspects in it. Like they had like the crazy doctor and stuff, which we knew nothing about.
Yeah, they go more into the lore of the place in the successor version than the original, which is interesting.
Yeah, the remake sequel.
Yeah. I mean, but we do find out that in the original, none of that matters.
Exactly.
Which I think is what makes it beautiful. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you're good. But let's get back to pop culture and Universal.
Yeah, well, this time, we want to go back to the pop culture or the quality?
Just back to Universal.
Back to Universal. We got a little sidetracked there.
Yeah, we love that movie though. House on Haunted Hill. I love to watch it in color for whenever we do the live review.
That would be a good one. And then you guys could join us on the...
Exactly.
We can see how you guys feel about it.
Actually, the day we're recording this video / podcast or whatever it's called,
the first one that we've done,
is actually going to be the same day as we plan on doing the first live.
This is very
review.
True. It'll be fun.
Exactly.
But back to the topic at hand.
Universal.
Studios. I think personally, even though it's been around for way longer, its quality in movies is way better than
It's maintained quality.
it's maintained quality, especially with its side companies per se, like the Steven Spielberg.
Oh, Amblin Pictures.
Amblin Pictures, perfect example. I feel like I have to say Ready Player One. It's
Steven Spielberg is arguably the greatest director of all time.
I will give it to him. I used to say I like Quentin Tarantino just to be different, but Steven Spielberg I think has the greatest track record.
He does
in movies.
Universal Studios itself has the best track record of any.
100%.
filmmaker.
And obviously, Steven Spielberg put his name with Universal. He has carved out what Universal is today.
He started with Universal back in 1970, I think 1973, and to this day he still works with them. Obviously, they produce every film he makes still with Amblin Pictures.
I really think Steven Spielberg definitely changed the style of movies that Universal did. Universal started off with doing the horror things. That's really what made them take off. Was their
Their most
Universal
notable things. I mean,
monster.
they've always made all genres, but they're starting with Dracula in 1931.
Mm-hmm.
That was their staple from the basically the entire golden age of film is based on Universal's take on monster movies.
Yeah, and then you can kind of see. I mean, it seems like for a while they were kind of running out of ideas because of how many sequels a lot of these produced. I mean, your opinions on those can vary.
Their sequels were pretty good though.
Yeah, I mean it depends. I think it depends on which film franchise you're looking at.
I think go Frankenstein.
I mean, Frankenstein is a really good track record.
Dracula, not so much.
But I will say, however, if you look at the endings of all of those, the endings for all those films, they did not plan for those other ones to do it. They definitely made those because it was making money.
Exactly.
They were still good,
but
they were doing it for the money.
With Bride of Frankenstein.
Bride of Frankenstein was definitely
it obviously it was to get more money, but it didn't lose any quality.
Definitely. Matter of fact, I feel like it gained.
It's arguably one of the only films probably of all time where the sequel is actually better than the original.
I could agree with that.
You don't really get those.
Yeah, you don't really get those that much because
except for Jaws 3.
And oh my gosh. But the reason why is because these films that are not made for an opening of a sequel.
Exactly.
They make these sequels for the money. And that's literally all they're for. They're like, "Oh, this original idea made a lot of money for us. Let's make a sequel, even if the original intent and the original story came to a close."
Yeah.
And I think that's necessarily the problem. I think go ahead.
You see Universal producing sequels pretty consistently all the way up till you get to 1987 with Jaws: The Revenge.
True.
Which is a garbage movie. They kind of have it with The Mummy too, but The Mummy is the one with Brendan Fraser is the best remake I've ever seen.
I haven't watched those. I really do want to see it.
I set the bar pretty high for those.
Yeah.
But my childhood is...
I mean, my older brother watched those a lot. Like, he was super into them.
They're good.
There's no excuse for me not to have watched
We watched them in English.
Oh, really?
So, yeah,
okay.
When we weren't learning. Yeah.
I will say, however, I know we're talking about the money and sequels and stuff. There is one franchise specifically that I feel like they do the sequels for the money, but for a different reason. They actually leave openings for sequels, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They definitely keep that going with the... Now, as far as how you feel of quality is not necessarily the conversation with the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
They're definitely churning this out, the money, because of how into pop culture it is and the merchandise and the selling of all this stuff. That's why they're keeping it going.
It's definitely going to be on the decline now.
Yes, 100%, because guess why?
Endgame.
Yeah, the original story is over. And anything after that is just cash grabs. Obviously, this whole thing was a cash grab.
Yeah, everything about it.
But now, to this point on, it's even more.
The execution was
it's essentially the sequel of the series.
Exactly. The execution of the Infinity Saga was done flawlessly. It had a few hiccups here and there.
This is why I think so. It's because of the people that they had working on it.
Yeah, 100%. Jon Favreau, Kevin Feige.
These are people that have the mentality of a, let's say, Steven Spielberg, who are given
or George Lucas,
that was given a large-scale cash-churning project.
Jon Favreau he still works with George Lucas. He's going to be in charge of the Star Wars universe from now on, which, by the way, episode 1 of the new season of the Clone Wars dropped this morning.
Oh, it did.
For anyone who has Disney Plus, if this somehow goes up this week, go check it out.
Honestly, this video is not going the way I expected it to.
Oh my gosh.
So it might, I could probably post it really quick.
You probably could.
Yeah.
100%.
This is going more podcast style.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
That's okay, though.
We're enjoying
weren't planning on it, but this is fun.
Yeah, if you guys want to hear us talk a lot more,
be prepared. We're going to add people to it. This
isn't like the official DREN cast.
This is not the official, this is not an official podcast. This is actually probably going to go up on my channel.
Yeah. 100%.
But if you like this kind, we will be making an official podcast.
Whenever we move into said possible $400,000 house.
That'll be fun.
Podcast.
We'll have a video for it,
Video
too.
podcast, too,
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll probably have to upload this in, parts, but... we got completely sidetracked again.
Yeah, well, we get sidetracked pretty easily. Back to Universal, though.
Yes.
So, they're doing pretty good these days.
Yeah. What were some of the... I haven't really necessarily looked at... I think you and me have been going on such a old, almost history lesson of films.
Yeah.
That I haven't necessarily looked at what they're doing in modern day. There are obviously films that I have looked into, but I actually honestly don't know if Universal was the ones behind it. So
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna take a look and see what.
I don't really know how to respond to that.
It makes sense, right?
It does. Yeah,
we've necessarily
100%.
Since October,
100%.
You and me have been watching black and white films and things
which
like
are the
that.
best.
When it comes to focusing on Universal, necessarily
focusing on Universal.
When we've been focusing on Universal, we've been watching black and white films. Obviously, there are other ones that we have seen.
Yeah.
Such as The Lost Boys, Halloween, things like that. I mean, yeah, I know Halloween was Universal, wasn't it?
No.
No?
No.
I thought it was.
No.
Oh. I don't know. I'm looking at the poster and I'm not really seeing anything.
It was not Universal, no.
But unless it was another popular colored Universal movie like Jaws or E.T. Spielberg. We actually haven't done that yet.
Jurassic Park?
Yeah. I haven't seen it.
You've never seen Jurassic Park?
I've seen clips, but I haven't actually made
an
Okay, so whenever I say I don't see films, I have seen them, but I don't remember it because I didn't make a specific intent to sit down and watch it. You know what I mean?
Jurassic Park isn't, in my opinion, it's one of the worst Steven Spielberg movies.
Well, because
I just find it boring.
I could see that, and then they went on to make
Jaws.
They went on to make the sequels.
Yeah, which the sequels aren't bad. Lost World, one of Spielberg's few sequel directorials credits.
So I'm looking at the Universal movies that are due to come out this year.
Do you have The Invisible Man 2020?
Yes, that is on the
This
list.
month,
A lot
actually,
of the big name ones, however, are not ones that will really help our argument. Example, Fast and Furious.
Oh my gosh.
Let's talk about sequels that are just made for the money.
This one has so much controversy to it. It sounds like they're bringing back Paul Walker's character
through CGI,
and then they're also bringing back another character. I've never seen Fast and Furious.
We're
nor
not
do
Fast
I have
and Furious
intentions
guys.
to see Fast and Furious.
Which, honestly, the topic of using CGI to bring back actors is a whole other topic.
Yeah,
I know for a fact you personally told me about a Vietnam War movie, I believe it was. That's going to
With
use
James Dean?
James Dean and
Yeah.
CGI, which originally I was super excited about because it sounds super cool. But then I started thinking about it. And I was like, that's just not right.
They have permission from the James Dean estate.
It still feels weird. You know what I mean? Like, just because, like, if that's the case, then they probably also have permission from the Walker estate as well. But it still seems like it's done in poor taste. I don't know if the difference is because of the times that they died, because James Dean was so far away, where Walker's was so, like, recent. I guess that could be another, like, thing.
I don't agree with the Paul Walker one.
Do you think, is it mainly because of how deaths, like how long ago James Dean was around?
It's like,
because they both died the same way.
Yeah, car accidents.
Yeah.
It's like Paul Walker, you know, his character was done in the franchise from what I heard.
Let me ask you this. Do you think it's okay because James Dean is almost a character himself? Like, he's almost just like a fictional character himself?
No, because I know he's real.
Well, you know what I mean, though. You know what I mean. Like,
he's just a person.
I know.
At the end of the day,
but
he's
like,
just a person.
This is true. But like, you know what I mean, though. Like, he's so solidified in pop culture that he's almost like a character himself. Like, he's almost not real. Which I think maybe sometimes does blur that line because of how long ago he was around and his presence.
It's more of a tribute to James Dean.
You feel that way?
His acting career.
Okay.
It's not just a cash grab. I mean, yeah, it's a cash grab, but at the same time, it's also going to give a new generation of people insight on James Dean. Because he wasn't in that many films because he died
so early.
So early, yeah. Whereas Paul Walker has 7 sequels to his name on one franchise. He has more movies and sequels in one franchise than James Dean got in his entire career.
So it's the films that you're seeing. So like James Dean, he did what were considered classics, you know, art pieces of film and stuff. Where Paul Walker attached his name to a franchise that became a cash grab. They're making a sequel that's a cash grab, and then they're adding his name and CGIing him into it as a bigger cash grab.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any.
If that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, I mean, I know what you mean. Even if it makes sense or doesn't, but I mean, I don't associate myself anywhere near Fast and Furious. I mean,
neither do I.
Yeah, I have no interest.
I have big, strong opinions on Fast and Furious and its type of movie that it is.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about Fast and Furious. These are Universal movies that are coming out, which that did not help our argument at all.
Exactly.
Because that is a Universal movie. Second one that I noticed was Minions. There's going to be a new Minions movie this year.
They at least took a break, though.
This is true. I feel like there's a certain feel.
It's not a prequel, it's a sequel, isn't it? I know it's not a sequel,
It's a prequel. It's a prequel.
I said that backwards.
I believe it's a prequel about
Gru. Yeah.
Definitely Minions and Despicable Me are cash grabs. The
100%.
movie Minions itself is because of how like they saw, the Minions are so popular in Despicable Me, let's make their own movies. They haven't made a Despicable Me movie since they started doing Minions.
Exactly.
But there is
Illumination!
Exactly. Which they even do that for films that isn't.
Yeah, because
they did that on the Grinch
a studio
one as well.
now.
Yeah. Well, with like the Minion introducing it.
Yeah,
that's
interesting. That's the obviously the intro or the credits, if you will, to the illumination to their movies.
Yeah. Even though I know for a fact that they're only doing it because, you know, kids enjoy it and it pushes merchandise, I do also feel like that there is some kind of artistic integrity that still stands with the Minions, as weird as that sounds.
With animated movies, I feel like it's more okay. I mean, I feel like movies for kids are definitely. I feel like it's almost a different thing when it's like a movie that a masked audience will be.
I understand what you mean.
And then when there's kids, because
that also specifically I feel like goes with animation because the Marvel franchise is geared towards kids. I mean,
It
it's
is.
also got things for adults. It's geared towards kids, but it's also live action.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of like an artistic integrity detached because of that. Don't get me wrong, their films have definitely changed.
Yeah.
His film forever.
But animation is literally art.
This is true.
Film is too, but to the extent as animation.
Yeah. Which, however, I'm not excited for the Minions film. Like,
I have no intention.
I don't think I have any intentions on seeing it either. But
movies I do have intentions on seeing. It sounds like, you got The Invisible Man coming out this month in like a week actually, or
The Invisible Man comes out this month.
Yeah,
which
month's almost over.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Wait, when does it?
It might already be out.
Let me see.
I think it comes out next week though. Does it come out on like the
28th?
28th.
28th.
Comes out on a Saturday?
I guess so.
Wow,
that's cool. I'm looking forward to it, especially since
we recently watched. We recently watched.
Which we didn't do a video on that, did we?
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did. We went on a binge of watching a bunch of movies without doing reviews for them.
Oh, we do have reviews, but they're just not edited and uploaded.
Way to attack me.
We've no, it's me too.
Oh,
We've both kind of been on a work spree.
This is true.
We're in May. We have to move into a house.
Yeah, it's personal stuff, but we're also open about the personal stuff as well.
Yeah,
it's essentially us trying to get out of our apartment is what's been happening.
I already said, it's a little bit of information on the house. So, what else is there?
So this one is already out. Doolittle with Robert Downey Jr.
That didn't do too well.
I heard that. It looked good. It really did.
It had a great cast. Like
definitely, because it had Tom Holland in it as well, but it didn't perform that well, which kind of sucks. Because when it comes to artistic movies, I definitely feel like that movie had it. It had the feel of a good Universal movie. You know what I mean? Very whimsical, very dreamy. And it had that.
But did they need to pair up Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. again?
You think that?
Did they need to cast Robert Downey Jr.?
I think. No, they didn't. But honestly, I feel like it was more. That role was probably more for Robert Downey Jr. more than it was for the movie.
I feel like maybe they should have brought back Eddie Murphy.
I disagree because of the feels between the two different films. Where Eddie Murphy's is a very slapstick kind of comedy.
Maybe we need slapstick back.
You're right. I mean, slapstick has been done so wrong a lot recently.
Exactly.
I think a perfect example would be like the Scary Movies.
They did
those. The first ones were pretty funny, but then they started losing quality as time went on. I feel like,
even though
I don't know,
you do like one of the ones.
I mean,
that would
it's
be
like
considered.
slapstick comedy has become fart jokes and frat boys and stuff like that. And that was the Eddie Murphy Doolittle in a sense. Yeah. This one was more Robert Downey Jr. one was more of a. It seemed very inspirational in the trailers and stuff.
It sounds like they just. I don't think they needed to make this movie. Didn't need to be.
This is true. I will agree with you on that. That the film did not need to be made, but I also do feel like that it actually does stand. It probably does stand with quality though. I need to watch it to fully get the feel. And I think why we think that, and we're not the only ones who probably think that it shouldn't have been made because obviously it didn't do well.
Yeah.
Like it's not, and honestly, it's probably not that it didn't do good on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, what's the score?
14% on Rotten Tomatoes, 76 audience though. So
I mean, Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, it's been proven that those don't mean anything.
Yeah, this is true. Ratings. This is very true. But as quality goes, it looked like a decent Universal movie.
From the trailers, I mean, it didn't look like a movie that would interest me, but the production value that the trailers offered, it seemed like it had good.
See, I feel like it's one of those movies where you look at the trailer and you're like, oh, this looks cool. I might go see it. And then it comes along. And then you forget.
Kind of like Dr. Sleep.
Mm-hmm. Which that was a good film.
Good movie.
Too.
Good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Go check it out. We did do a review.
Did we? That might have been the one that I have to do.
Yeah, that's yours.
I think that's the one that I'm doing.
Yeah. I do believe that's yours.
The next one I see, this is probably the last one I'm going to talk about. Like, I think that we should talk about to a extent, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. It's an animated one. The reason why I feel like we could talk about it for a extensive time is because it's animated, but it doesn't have that like animated, like it's not like the Minions, and it's the Trolls movie, Trolls World Tour.
Another.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what Trolls is. Do they need another Trolls?
They don't. It does not have the same kind of artistic integrity feel that the Minions has. As weird as that sounds.
The first Trolls wasn't even that good of a movie.
It wasn't. No. It did not. That movie didn't even need to be made in the first place.
It was definitely a movie more geared for kids. It was actually, it had its entertaining parts. I think we watched that at school.
Yep,
if I'm
I
not
remember
mistaken.
doing that. I do. That was the first time I watched it, actually.
But
It's the reason why I felt like we could talk about it a little bit. Seems like we probably won't be, but it's because it doesn't have, like I said, the artistic integrity that most animated films can still stand on.
Yeah.
Because definitely, it's whenever you look at the trailer and stuff, it's kind of like a second line of toys. They introduce so many different types of trolls, new characters and stuff. It's like they're clearly doing it for merchandising.
100%. A lot of these kids' movies are for merchandising.
Which I understand.
Yeah.
But to an extent.
To an extent. Like, Star Wars really pushed off the merchandising stuff back in 1977. Mm-hmm. But at the time, it wasn't... Star Wars wasn't made to be a merchandising, like...
It wasn't originally intended to be that way.
Yeah, because when the first shipment of toys went out, they had to sell cardboard boxes because there weren't enough toys made.
And then...
kids had to wait months to get 3 action figures.
And then look where we're at now.
Look where we're at. It's the biggest... I don't know if this is right, but I feel like it is the biggest merchandising worth.
I could see that, especially since now that Disney owns it.
Yes, but
I know it was big beforehand, but like when it comes to selling stuff to kids,
I think
they do it well.
I don't think they handled Star Wars very well. I think
I
think it has actually been proven that the merchandising for Star Wars went down after merchandising.
Really?
Yeah, because The Last Jedi, nobody wanted. They made a crap ton of Rose stuff. Nobody wanted to buy Rose. Nobody wanted to buy any of the other.
And they had a chance to do it with the Baby Yoda, but they biffed that up because they didn't get that stuff out before.
I saw something today about that.
Which kind of really?
It's like a life-size Baby Yoda, and it's like, I hate saying Baby Yoda because that's not
technically. We're gonna call it Baby Yoda because that's the common. It's like common.
Might
name.
As well. I mean,
everyone knows it that way. I'm not above using its improper name.
But I saw something on that this morning. It's just an electronic-y Baby Yoda. So
interesting. Which kind of goes back to the whole. What was his name? The guy who's behind that.
Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau. It kind of goes back to the whole Marvel guys. Marvel being taken control by artistic guys. Jon Favreau. The reason why we didn't get the merchandise so early is because Jon Favreau wanted to keep it a secret. Because he held that kind of stuff dear to him.
He didn't want anything about it getting out.
Yeah,
so
it wasn't a cash grab to him.
Yeah.
Which is why we didn't get the cash grab.
It's
understandable, but Disney missed out.
That's okay. They don't need the money.
That's very true. And I'm just gonna
obviously if they felt they needed the money, he would have been the face of all the all the advertising and promotions.
Yeah, this is very true. And then I don't really want to talk about them to an extent, but I did look up Universal Picture movies. Halloween 2 is under the listing. Halloween. I don't know if they bought the rights or something, but it is popping up as one.
I do believe the new ones might be Universal, unless they're under there on accident.
Might be some kind of one of their side.
I think whenever companies. Rob Zombie
did it. I think
Universal bought one of the third party. Can you shut up, Plane? They can probably hear. But I think Universal bought out one of the companies, and then, because they weren't originally Universal.
True.
I do believe, because actually even on the poster, it says it has the original company that produced it.
Okay.
It's at the bottom.
I could see that. It's kind of like a buyout kind of thing. Yeah, probably happened.
Kind of like Lucasfilm. Yeah.
And this next film probably had the same situation. I'm not into these kind of films. The 007 movie.
James Bond.
Those
don't need to be made.
Yeah. It's, again, that's a cash grab.
But It is Daniel Craig's last go as Bond.
Which I guess if you're into those movies, it'd be cool. But
It's the end of an era.
yeah.
So,
But they have some other ones on here. However, they kind of look like they're not known films. Like there's no like build up to them. There's no prequels or no like pre-existing films to go with them or anything. There's like one with
but
Tom
we have
Hanks
been
and stuff.
but you and I have been so. I don't know if this is even a word or the right word, but we've been so separated from modern film that
This
maybe
is true.
we don't know because we don't have TV at our house.
Yeah, we don't. And most of what we get is either what is available off Netflix, what we find at local video stores, or Vudu. I think what was the most recent film we've watched?
Most recent film we
Was
watched
Doctor Sleep.
No, it was the one we watched.
Well,
Which
I'm talking about
Oh.
like I'm not talking about like time wise. Yeah, time wise, the most recent one we watched was American Animal, 2008,
Good movie.
2018 film with Evan Peters. It's very good. Beginning's a little slow, but artistically it's beautiful.
It's very well done.
You have to definitely pay attention while you're watching it.
Yes, 100%.
That's our little review of it because we didn't do a review for that.
Impromptu reviews.
What?
You'll hear it when you edit.
Okay, I'll hear it whenever I do the editing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. What are we at? How much time are we?
That's what I'm wondering because if we're gonna continue, I'm gonna have to stop this and get a charger.
Oh my god.
Do you want to continue?
I'm down.
Okay. We'll be right back.
Okay.
This is probably gonna be split up into like 5 parts already.
Cool.
Squeeze as much content out of this as possible.
All right, this is a
right.
DREN break. Thank you for watching this
Yes.
first part.
Thank you for watching. Yeah, or honestly, I'll probably break this up into many parts. I
Hey,
don't know why I'm saying this while I'm
You
recording.
could actually you could just post this as an audio.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We'll see if someone would want to watch this
Yeah,
very
yeah.
long take.
I mean, I can advertise it.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
Hello, welcome to part 2
Hey.
of what would we call this? Like movie talk or something?
Movie talk. Yeah, guys, welcome back to the Movie Talk podcast with Ben and Drake.
Yeah,
Your two
I guess this
favorite
isn't really
guys.
a podcast test per se. A little taste of what we'll be doing. Remember what is happening?
Still a podcast.
I don't know.
You'll hear this whenever he
I don't know what he's saying.
He has headphones on, so it's really funny. I hear everything he says, but he can't hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, I heard a little bit of that. I heard the end where I
Yeah.
can't hear what he's saying.
Yeah. I'm gonna play Roblox, but it's gonna look like I'm doing something.
I have no idea.
I
what
said
that
I'm
was.
gonna play Roblox, but it's I'm gonna make it look like I'm.
Oh my gosh,
My-
I respect it.
My mouse is off.
But all right, where should we left off talking
Universal
about
Part 2?
Universal
Should
movies
we-
that were coming out recently.
I feel like we should probably cover Universal Monsters
True,
because
because
you've
we were
had
making
videos on like the actors.
the actors,
themselves.
yeah, which I think they're good. But when I become better, I will definitely revisit doing remakes of those.
Oh, that'd be a fun like podcast thing for
We're
just
talking
unique
about-
movie talk, like how we would like our picture, in our head of a Universal
How we could do
monster
Universal, we
movie,
could do like
cinematic universe.
fantasy casting and fantasy like what we would have done type of situations. That'd be cool. I think that'd be nice.
And like our concept ideas.
Yep, chalk that up for next one. Oh, I'll have so much fun with the Lost Boys because I already have ideas for that.
You gotta get
But honestly,
through,
that movie doesn't need to be remade.
You got to get through Corey Feldman to touch that thing.
Does he own the rights?
He doesn't own the rights, but if there's no Feldman, then there's
So you think he has to be in it?
he's a big part of the Lost Boys now.
Oh yeah, you're right. Well,
In
he plays the same character.
actually in I was telling you the like a week ago I watched like a Tale of Two Corys.
Yeah.
The second, like the entire third act of that movie happens because they're making this. The third act of that movie gets triggered because of the Lost Boys.
The original one?
No, two.
The second? The
se-
second?
The second one,
Okay. Yeah.
which has Kiefer Sutherland's brother in it.
Yeah.
Actually,
Which
no, it was
the
nephew,
Lost
something.
Boys sequels could be chalked up in the topics of remakes that probably shouldn't have been or
You haven't
didn't
seen them,
have
though.
to be made.
We haven't seen them. Though,
We
so
haven't seen those.
talk
I
on
can't
those.
discredit them. I do have a feeling though that They're obviously not going to live up. There's no way they're going to live up to their the original. But, anyways, yeah. So let's go ahead and
let's talk about Universal Monster movies.
Let's go ahead and talk about Universal Monsters.
So, I'm pulling up Universal Monster movie remakes.
What about of them do we want to talk about?
Do
we want to talk about the remakes of like modern day takes on them?
Let's start off at the beginning.
Okay.
So back in the 1920s, a man named Carl Laemmle. Well, I mean he already created Universal, but he was testing out horror movies in the silent era film.
Mm-hmm.
He had Phantom of the Opera, which is one of the most iconic movies ever made. Even getting a Goosebumps little episode.
Phantom of the Auditorium.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, he had his golden boy.
Lon Chaney
Sr. Even though Lon Chaney Jr. isn't his actual name.
Wait, what?
There's no such thing as Lon Chaney Jr. That's just a stage name.
This is true.
And then you get to 1931, where you get Bela Lugosi in Dracula.
And Boris Karloff and Frankenstein. Because those were released in the same year.
But you get Dracula first.
True.
Now, if we go and we look, I'm going to take a little look at, Dracula's ratings and stuff.
I've taken a look at those before. I know Dracula is not 100%. Where are you looking first?
I'm just looking on Google. It shows me like the general. Like it's got the Google ratings, it's got the IMDb, and it's got the Rotten Tomatoes. IMDb is probably the most accurate of all.
What do they use for that?
They got a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
And that's the lowest of what's shown on the general area.
Okay.
So, with Google, it's not really critics. It's like a general audience.
Okay.
Which has a 93%. It's about to be 94 because I'm going to leave I'm kidding. It's not going to be 94.
Wow.
Rotten Tomatoes has 91%.
I know that's on the lower end of the Universal, or at least the original ones.
It's,
Because I know Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein didn't they both get 100?
Yeah, I'll look that up. I know Bride did.
Bride 100% did.
Frankenstein on Rotten Tomatoes is terrible. Let me get this out of the way first.
I look at Rotten Tomatoes all the time.
Rotten Tomatoes is the worst to look at for
this is true
ratings.
But that's the thing is that my family always does look at Rotten Tomatoes just because I think that's just what we've done. But it never really changes how we feel about a film, unless the audience.
Can you shut up, birds? We're trying to record audio here.
Yeah.
But Frankenstein does have 100 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
But it's got a 7.8 on IMDb. And it's got a 91 on Metacritic. So it is beating out Dracula, which I do feel like Frankenstein was a better movie.
I can agree with that.
Like even like I feel like even artistically, like that's the big thing. Cuz
I think we have to go back and talk about why they were so iconic. Because it wasn't just that these were some of the first. Were they? I think they were some of the first sound ones.
They were not the. They weren't.
It
the
was
first,
close.
But it was close. It was the first sound horror movies.
Yeah, and these weren't the first
that are
horror movies, but they are the first of its kind. Which essentially is because due to, I think you could chalk it up to be religious views of the time.
100%. 100%.
Before that. All horror movies either had to be chalked up to have some kind of, it had to be realistic. There's no supernatural witchery or anything of that kind in it. And if there is, there had to be some kind of realistic kind of twist, funny explanation at the end.
Yeah.
Dracula and Frankenstein changed that. They were supernatural and they were creepy, and there was no...
Dracula more than Frankenstein.
Yes, this is true.
Frankenstein's really not that supernatural.
I mean, as essential, as not realistic as a dead body being brought back to life can be.
It is possible for dead people to come back to life, though.
Really?
But yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah, well, not to the extent that Frankenstein was, though.
But Dracula, I think Dracula is Well, Dracula is 100% supernatural.
Oh, 100. Yeah, and especially vampires were always seen as like a satanic, sadistic kind of thing.
But vampires did exist. But not in the way... Like, vampires are real, but not the way that they're portrayed.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got guys like Vlad the Impaler, who was essentially a vampire. But, you know, obviously they weren't supernatural.
Yeah.
Dracula is. And it changed how we were able to see how horror movies were done. And I think that's what kind of makes them so iconic. It was no one's ever seen anything like it before. And then they made Dracula. And then I'm not sure if when they started the recording of Frankenstein, I imagine they had to have done it before.
It would have been at like the same exact time.
They had to have done it before Dracula was released. So they took a big chance on both these films. And then they paired them together in the theaters, and it just took off.
But they also did have like really good source material to back them up.
Yeah, with the original novels.
You got Bram Stoker's
Dracula
book,
and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Which I believe Frankenstein's older than Dracula.
Yeah, by like
40 years.
Because Mary Shelley was not alive when Frankenstein's film came out, but Bram Stoker was, I believe. At least whenever Nosferatu was released, which was in the 1900s. So, but yeah, and then, you know, then they started making the other ones, such as, what was the next one that came out? The Mummy, correct?
I do believe it was The Mummy.
Which,
sorry, I'm fixing something.
Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, The Mummy came out. Essentially, what happened was there was a big boom in ancient Egyptian mythology and whatnot, because they found the Great Pyramids, and they started doing archaeology. Archaeology was a huge thing at the time, and then the myth of I think specifically King Tut was released, because there was a few guys who ended up dying or getting sick after the tomb was discovered, which you could chalk that up. I keep on saying chalk up a lot. I just want to point that out.
I don't even like tasting chalk, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But you could put that up to being either old diseases that we weren't exposed to, that were kind of just stuck, like frozen in time, because it was so isolated for so long, or just coincidence, or whatever other insert reason here. But people put that as it was a curse that King Tut put on the his tomb.
I just want to make like a little disclaimer. If you guys heard like any sort of like humming in the last few seconds, I was just adjusting the mic. This one is kind of a little pain in the butt sometimes. So
yeah, it's the quality of mics that me and him are using are not fair. He's holding in his hand. I have a mic stand, and it's also the better quality mic.
No, this one.
Oh, that one's better?
But this one has the humming.
Oh, well, I don't have to worry about the humming, I guess. Which is because I was recording a video earlier.
Yeah.
But
I actually had to pull this mic out of it.
That was a struggle for us, for him.
And then we get to 1933's The Invisible Man, which isn't even a horror movie.
It's not a horror movie, but it was iconic.
It was
because
iconic
of its special effects.
That is, it had a decent story. It's not the greatest movie. It's actually, for me personally, it's on the lower end of.
Yeah, I am excited for its remake though.
Yeah, 100%.
Its remake, like we mentioned earlier, it's coming out this month and like next week. And I remember
7 days.
Yeah. Oh, really? Say the exact 7 days?
21st, 21.
Oh my gosh,
7.
You're right. It is 7 days. That's cool. But they actually were able to successfully make it a horror film. Like it's actually like a horror.
Yeah, this time around it's a horror movie.
Yeah, and it's not the same story by no means.
It could be better, could be worse. I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out. Yeah, I think it'll be good. I don't want to go in with high expectations.
We have to hope it'll be good.
I hope it'll be good.
Frank doesn't really care, to be honest.
And I know I have a strong belief that the Universal monsters could be and should be revamped in modern day.
In the right way.
In the right way. That's very true. Because I do remember hearing Universal within the past 2 decades have attempted to bring back the Universal monsters. One sometime in the early 2000s with like a Van Helsing themed Universal thing.
Yeah.
Did not work out. And then they tried to do it recently.
No, they started with the Mummy.
Was that what that was?
Mummy came before.
We're talking about the Tom Cruise one or the
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser.
There was happened in 1999. That's when that came out.
Okay.
Then 5 years later, you get Van Helsing. I have it pulled up right here.
There was. I was about to say they tried to do. So did they try it twice? Because I know they're trying to do some kind of all like extended universe with Van Helsing.
I think whenever they released Van Helsing, that was definitely when it was like it was apparent. But whenever they released the Mummy, I mean, clearly when they released the Mummy, they had full intentions of bringing all of the main characters back, minus possibly Gilman.
Really?
Because honestly, Gilman just doesn't fit in. But at the same time,
and were they doing like
iconic.
a extended story universe kind of thing?
I don't believe so.
No.
I think it was just they were gonna bring back the people and see where it goes from there. Because we got a mummy, we got the mummies, we got Van Helsing, and we got the Wolfman.
Mm.
The only one we didn't get was Frankenstein. We didn't get Frankenstein, and we didn't get Creature from the Black Lagoon. We didn't get the Invisible Man, but we did get Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
Which you've seen.
Oh my gosh, I quote unquote seen. That's a story that I could get into and in the actual podcast. I'll do that later.
They released a new Dracula. There's always been new Dracula movies.
Yeah, well, Dracula's he's in the public domain at this point. But I also want to talk about the Dark Universe.
Oh my god.
You know what I'm talking about?
That should not exist.
That I think it had potential, but they biffed it so hard in the beginning. So, if you're not aware, after Marvel became successful, Universal kind of wanted their own, and they decided to attempt
Universal
it with.
had their own.
They had their own. They attempted to redo it with the Universal monsters and make a thing called the Dark Universe. They had its own logo, its own thing. They had a lot of promotional stuff out of it, and they started it off with a Mummy remake with Tom Cruise, and it bombed hard. And it stopped everything. Wow. I know another one they're going to do was a Johnny Depp Invisible Man, which obviously did not happen. But they are still doing the Invisible Man, just not with Johnny Depp, which I think is probably going to be good. It's better, I should say.
I don't feel like Johnny Depp just seems like a weird guy to put in the middle of a horror.
Johnny Depp does good in Tim Burton style horror,
exactly.
not horror.
Like horror, yeah.
Well,
or classic horror.
Do we know for sure though? Because have we seen him in one of these?
It would be so weird. He
started with horror.
His typecasting though, like he's Jack Sparrow now.
This is true.
Kids won't like people. People will always be like, they'll always think of Jack Sparrow if they see Johnny Depp now.
Well, I don't know because Johnny Depp has such a sculptable face. Does that make sense? His I feel like he's able to blend into characters better than most actors can.
He's still going to be typecasted for the rest of his life as Jack Sparrow.
Every actor is always going to have that character that they're always going to be known for. I mean,
but it makes
regardless.
it harder to mix in other genres.
Personally, I think Johnny Depp has strayed away from being typecasted better than most people.
But I don't think
I can see what you mean by that.
I don't think he'd fit in the Dark Universe.
Oh, I won't argue with you about that. Definitely not. But what I'm arguing against is if I watched him in that, I wouldn't be like, oh, Johnny Depp. You know?
Every time I see Johnny Depp, it's always.
Or did I say Johnny Depp? I meant Jack Sparrow.
Oh.
I think it's like, oh, that's Johnny Depp. No, I'd be like, yeah. But I'm kind of glad that didn't happen because they can. I do feel like they should do an extended universe with the Universal monsters, but it looked like the direction that they're going with was not going to be good. Because I also do believe that they were going to use Angelina Jolie. I think as Bride of Frankenstein.
I don't like the idea of them using famous actors.
Exactly, I agree.
They should be using unknowns, and because if you have people that are well known and it fails, then because people are going to have high expectations. If like with Tom Cruise and the Mummy.
And also not only that, but using big named actors, most people won't look at there's two things that actors suffer from. Either A, they're typecasted, and you always see them as like a specific character. Like, I think you could use Robert Downey Jr. as an example. No, Tom Holland will always be known as Spider-Man. Or there's actors that'll be so successful that they can't blend into the character, and you always see the actor. I think a perfect example of that is Leonardo DiCaprio. Whenever you see it, you're not like, oh, that's insert character's name from
that's
movie.
Jack from Titanic.
That's Leonardo DiCaprio.
It's
You know what I mean, though? You know what I'm saying?
For Leo, I feel like you're right, or it's Jack from Titanic.
That's true. I think that just depends on the kind of person you are. But whenever you do big named actors, that's what you're combating.
Yeah.
Both of those types of things. Or if you use a lesser known named actor, you can start from scratch.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the role that they're known for the rest of their life.
Even having like a B-list actor is like your biggest person, I feel like that'd be okay.
Yeah.
But having an A-list, that wouldn't work.
And a perfect example is how they started it back in 1931 with Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
Of course, Bela Lugosi did suffer from typecasting from that point on for the rest of his life.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's an example. They weren't known. They weren't big named actors.
I feel like the reason why I feel like this might sound crazy, but casting Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man is kind of almost in the same situation, because he was at a point where, like, because he had just gotten out of prison and he was like at a low. Iron Man saved him.
Oh, 100%.
His career. He wouldn't be anywhere without Iron Man.
Oh, 100%. He's
very vocal about it.
Yeah, and he seems very thankful about it too. I think most actors nowadays are very, I got typecasted. I can't do roles anymore. Robert Downey Jr. seems very thankful for being Iron Man, and I think that's great.
He enjoys the character.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really nice when actors lean into that typecasting and they embrace the role that they're known for. And Robert Downey Jr. does that, and I think it's beautiful.
Most kids these days, I don't think they'll understand where Robert Downey Jr. comes from.
Oh, they never will. Obviously, there'll be people who will look into it, but they're never going to know like what he actually went through and the things that happened to him.
He had a terrible childhood, and like his dad was giving him drugs, like before he could. I'd
like to do research on Robert Downey Sr.
Yeah, man, he was a terrible father.
Do you know is he still alive?
Yes, he is.
Do you know how their relationship is now?
I don't.
I imagine it wouldn't be too good, but
I don't think it's bad.
I wonder. I guess it depends on how much growth Senior went through as well.
Most of this was all resolved in like 2003.
Oh, really?
Back, because that was when they started to approach Robert Downey Jr. about Iron Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was early on.
Dang, I guess that was like 5 years. It's a 5 years difference.
Yeah, because they already had the Infinity Saga done before they even started.
It's weird to think that's almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, 2025 is gonna be a crazy year.
Or 2023 is when they would have approached him for it, right? Is that what you said?
2003, 2004.
2003, yeah. Dang, that's so weird. But
be ready, 2028. You're gonna be getting your digital box set, 20-year anniversary of Iron Man.
2028
for 2028 for $90.
Crazy
for your Blu-ray.
Oh my gosh. We're living in interesting times in pop culture and stuff.
That's right. We went from talking about Universal to Robert Downey Jr.
This definitely got very skewed. I remember we were talking about doing this, and we were going to do like a 10-minute video on Universal and why it's the best studio, and we're literally 20 minutes into this take, give or take give a little bit more estimating.
Oh yeah.
But is there really anything else we really can talk about at this point?
I mean, I'm not comfortable right now.
What do you mean?
Because I got a microphone in my hand.
I'm confused.
I'm not comfortable because, like, physically I'm not comfortable.
So do you want to end it then?
I don't care. I mean, we can keep on going.
I mean, I feel like we have to have some kind of closing thing, which we don't have. But also, I don't really know where else to go.
If you guys enjoyed the DRENcast, even though it's not a DRENcast. If you guys enjoyed Movie Talk, make sure you guys leave a like, comment, let us know what we should talk about. Go subscribe to Drake. Go subscribe to me. Other few channels you can check out.
I'll
It's
put
Mr.
all
Man.
the links to the DREN family in the description, which is
Yes.
just gonna be the four of us that have actually posted something.
Johnny.
But
Johnny.
me, Johnny, Ben, and Josiah, which you'll see the other two join in the actual podcast later on. That'll be super fun. But anyways, yeah, I think we're going to close it up. This was a very, very experimental thing that we just did here. Kind of didn't really know where we're going to take it. But I think it was really nice. I think it was good. So, yeah, thank you for listening. If you listened to everything we talked about, please leave a comment if there's some kind of topic we should talk about later, whether it be film. I think we'd be interested in maybe some music talk as well, or something like that. I think we're open to different topics that we could do. So
Yes, sir.
all right, this is the DREN Movie Talk.
Sign off.
Signing off. Goodbye.